Hey everybody, Mr. Conan here, and today I'm going to talk to you about evaluating functions. Basically, now that we've developed this function notation, how we can find out the output for every input given a table, a graph, or an equation. So let's start off talking about a table. Let's say I have the table when I plug in -3, I get out 7. When I plug in 0, I get out 4. When I plug in 2, I get out -12. And when I plug in 7, I get out 6. So, if I want to evaluate these values for this function, what I'm really doing is I'm just looking to see when I plug in that number inside the parentheses what I get out from the function. So, if I want to find the output of -3, I just go look at my table for -3 and find out that my output is 7. If I want to find the output of 0, again, I look to my table. I see when I plug in 0, I get out 4. So, f of 0 is 4. Same thing with 2. Look at my table. When I plug in 2, I get out -12. So f of 2 is -12. And with 7, if I look at my table, I plug in 7, I get out 6. F of 7 is 6. If I want f of 1 and look at the table, oh no, there's no 1. That value is DNE, or does not exist. When we're evaluating graphs, same exact thing. Let's say I want to find the f of 2, f of 3, and f of 0 values. Now, because the thing in the parentheses is my input, and my input is my x value on my graph, I'm going to look at the x-axis at 2 and see if my line is anywhere on that x line. So, here, we can see that it crosses my line at a y value of -2. So f of 2 is -2. I can do the same thing for 3. Look at 3 on my x-axis, see that we cross once at a y value of -1. So f of 3 is -1. Lastly, if I'm looking for f of 0, I'm going to look at the x value of 0. Because there is no point on my line that has a x value of 0, it again does not exist. Now evaluating equations. So here I have two different equations. I have f of x is equal to 2x plus 1 and g of x is equal to -3x minus 4. Just a reminder, it does not matter if it's f or g. These letters don't really mean anything. They're like nicknames for our equations. So the only thing that matters about them is if I'm evaluating f of 2, I have to use the f equation. If I'm evaluating g of 2, I have to use the g equation. Now, let's evaluate these two equations for the same exact x value, or input. So, when I plug 2 into my equation, again, because 2 is in for x for the f of x, we have to plug in 2 for x on the other side. So I have f of 2 is equal to 2 times 2 plus 1. Now we know that 2 times 2 is 4, so f of 2 is equal to 4 plus 1. 4 plus 1 is 5. So f of 2, or the function at 2, is equal to 5. If I were to graph that point, it would be at 2 on my x-axis and 5 at my y. Now, to use the same input on the other function, g of x. Again, the x value is 2 for this situation because 2 is in the parentheses. I'm going to plug 2 into my equation. Here I have -3 times 2 minus 4. Simple arithmetic here. -3 times 2 is -6. I have -6 minus 4, which gets me -10. So, g of 2, or the function g at 2, is -10. If I wanted to write that as a point, that would be the x value of 2, y value of -10. Now notice, with these two functions, they do not have the same output. That is because they are two completely different lines. Now, that is my little spiel about evaluating equations, evaluating tables, and evaluating graphs. If you guys have any questions, come see me during a lunch. I'd love to talk. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you later.